Hello, aspiring Spain digital nomads. How many of you have done the income math in your head at least once?
Me, multiple times at different times of the day, sometimes early in the morning.
Right. Questions like, do I earn enough? Does my freelance income count? What if I had a slow month? Today, we answer all of that. Welcome back to Ready for DNV. I am Rafa.
And I'm Isa. Welcome to episode 2 Income Requirements in Full. Let's go.
So let's start with the number 2,849 euros per month. At roughly 71 pesos to the euro, that's around 202 to 204,000 a month. And as always, check readyfordnv.com for the most current conversion rates because they move. And with this episode, that's going to be your ballpark for the peso amount. But for euros, that's 2,849 euros per month.
And the first thing I want to say about that number, it is the minimum, not a target. I mean, you don't need to earn triple it. You don't need 5 years of bank statements at that level. Consistently demonstrating you hit 2,849 euros a month, that is the bar.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting for the Filipino remote work community. The requirement doesn't say that income has to come from one source. Multiple clients, multiple contracts, multiple revenue streams, it all counts. As long as the total hits the threshold of, yun nga, 2,849 euros a month and satisfied yung 80% rule.
And this is actually one of the things that I wish more people understood because a lot of freelancers mag-assume sila that the process is harder for them because they are freelancers. Example, like thinking na I don't have one employer sending me a payslip every month na fix yung amount. Like you're worrying if that count or if that qualifies. So here, I'm gonna tell you that it does. And actually, having multiple income sources can even strengthen your application.
Yeah, and imagine it from like the Spain's perspective, diba? If you have four clients, you lose one, you still have three, your income is resilient pa rin. And that signals stability because you have multiple yun nga, revenue streams, multiple clients. Especially if hindi naman yung mga small gigs like big contracts or it's a long-term contract specifically. Yun, magandang presentation yun of your income proof to Spain.
Bottom line for this segment 2,849 euros a month total income. Multiple sources are fine. You're probably closer than you think.
Next, let's talk about what actually counts as income. Freelance contract payments, of course, yes. Retainer agreements, yes. Project based payments, yes. Passive income like royalties or digital products, yes, then. Investment dividends, yes. Basically, if it's real documented income coming into your bank account regularly, it counts.
What doesn't count? One time gifts or loans, borrowed money deposited to artificially inflate your balance. Don't do that. Um, what's kind of new to the DNV news actually that we've seen a couple months ago, right? Is cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, there was one case that they were able to prove that cryptocurrency is one of the income streams ni applicant, which is good kasi unless it's converted to fiat and properly deposited, yung cash income mo is having that trail, even though it's coming from cryptocurrency. But of course, you have to always consult with your immigration lawyers. And ang generally blanket na what doesn't count are those cash income with no paper trail.
Yeah, and anything that looks like it cannot be traced back to a legitimate income source, it will of course, raise a lot of questions.
Yes, and the 80% rule we've mentioned earlier. So your income, at least 80% of that, must come from outside Spain. And for most Filipino freelancers and remote workers, that's your reality na eh. That your clients are from the US, Australia, the UK, and from there, you are at 100% non-Spanish income already, right? And basically, you're already compliant before you even think about.
Bottom line for this segment should be documented, traceable, real income from legitimate sources. Multiple streams are fine. Non Spanish income is your default.
Now, the question everyone actually wants to know, how do you prove it? Especially if you're a freelancer with multiple clients across different platforms and different currencies.
Okay, so there are two things. So either if you're a remote employee or a freelancer. So let's do for remote employees first. What do you need if you're a remote employee are pay slips from the last 3 months minimum, your employment contract showing your salary, that your role is 100% remote, and the duration of your contract. You should also need bank statements showing those deposits consistently arriving. And this one is also very important, your employer letter, which needs to state your salary, your title, the role, it being 100% remote, and the contract length. In situations that there are incomplete employer letters, those ones get easily flagged.
For freelancers, it's a bit more involved, but very doable. First, invoices, and those invoices should have your full legal name, the client's company name, the country of the client, the service description, the amount, and the date. So these are professional invoices for each of your client. Second, your bank statements showing those payments coming in from these clients. And third, contracts or agreements with each of your clients.
And for clients on platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, and anything similar, you can use your earnings dashboard screenshots, your downloaded payment history, and platform verification of your identity and earnings. These are fully acceptable.
One thing that's really useful, you have to create what's called a client summary sheet. So, this is a personal advice because it would be a one-page document that lists all of your active clients, the company name, their country, the nature of service you're giving them, the monthly average income for each of those clients, and their contract start date, and then the length of the contract. Because if you create that one pager, it gives the consulate a clean snapshot instead of making them piece it together from 20 separate documents. So a client summary sheet is my advice.
Yes, and you're basically helping the consulate reviewer. So applications that are easy to review tend to move faster.
So what about variable income? Especially for freelancers, this happens to us. So example, there's a month that I have high income. The next month I have a bit lower income.
But what we know are like the consulate is not just looking at 1 month. They're looking at pattern and average. 6 months of back statements where the average is at or above 2,849 euros. That's a strong application. But if you had one slow month, you have to explain it in your cover letter. So freelancers experience this. For example, you've ended the contract for this specific client. So, and that specific month, it looks a little bit lower. But on the succeeding month, you've, example, renewed that contract and maybe added a new client. So your income for the succeeding month is a bit higher, higher than the minimum. So explaining that in your cover letter is very important because context matters.
Yeah, and other friends aim comfortably above the minimum. Like if you're at, for example, 3,200 euros average in a month, a consulate doesn't have to wonder if you barely qualify.
One more thing on income or currencies. Your invoices might be in US dollars, Australian dollars, or pounds. You have to convert everything to euros using the European Central Bank rate. There should be consistent conversion, and that should be consistently applied to your documents.
And there's a free calculator at readyfordnv.com. Check it out, or you can input your income in any currency and it converts to euros instantly. So Visit our website and also check out all the other tools that we have there. We have a few free ones.
Bottom line, remote employees need payslips, bank statements, and a complete employer letter. For freelancers, you need invoices, bank statements, contracts, and we suggest the client summary sheet. Variable income is okay, but you have to show the average and explain the dips.
If you want to know exactly where your income stands for the DNV, take the free eligibility quiz at readyfordnv.com. 3 minutes or less and you'll have a real picture. Let's do a couple of Q&A here. And on this part of the podcast, we will answer the usual questions from our aspiring Spain digital nomads.
First question we have here, is the DNV better than staying on a tourist visa?
So, the tourist visa or the Schengen visa for Spain is limited to 90 days in Schengen every 180 days. You cannot legally work with this visa and you cannot open a Spanish bank account. And also, there is no path to residency or citizenship. And with the DNV, there is legal residency. You will have the right to work remotely, and you will eventually have access to Spain's healthcare system. So the DNV is a path for long-term residency after 5 years and citizenship after 10, where for Filipinos, it is just 2 years. Meaning there is actually no comparison because the DNV is the legitimate legal version of what tourist visa workers do informally, like working in a European country. So it depends on your goal. If you want to have the citizenship and the residency, then go for the DNB. But for tourist visa, it's just 90 days. You can stay in a Schengen country.
Second question, what is the DNV versus the non-lucrative visa or the NLV?
Great question, actually, because the NLV or the non lucrative visa is also another path for Spain residency. So the DNV are for remote workers with earned income like salary and freelance payments, while the NLV are for financially independent people who do not work at all. The NLV requires passive income only, like savings, investments, pensions, dividends. Also, working remotely on an NLV is a visa violation. So that's even for foreign clients. If any part of your income is coming from the work that you actively do, you need the DNV. Okay?
Our next question here is, can I bring my family? Yes na yes. Your spouse, our partner, and dependent children can come as dependents on your DNV. Each dependent actually meron din silang residency authorization. And the income requirement increases for your dependents. So if we have an adult dependent, which is a partner, a spouse, you will add roughly 75% of the minimum wage. And then kapag naman anak mo, each of your children would have 25% of the minimum wage. So dependents access actually has those access, including public healthcare system. So once you're registered as autonomo, meron na sa with access.
All this information we share with you are available in our website, readyforthenv.com. We have our Spain full DNV guide, so you have the full picture of the requirements, process, and all other considerations you should have before deciding to apply to this path.
Next episode, Beckham Law and the Autonomo Path. What's the difference, who each one applies to, and why mixing them up? It's one of the most common mistakes we see.
This podcast drops first in our insider community. Subscribe so you get first dibs on valuable information. Follow us on our social media accounts at Ready4DNV and stream us on Spotify, YouTube, and on our website at readyfordnv.com.